Now, one of the key aspects of the transformation, thanks to new technologies, is that payments are becoming digital. So in China, hardly anybody uses paper currency or cash anymore, and this is happening around the world. And that's going to have a lot of benefits for consumers, for businesses, and even for governments, because a lot more activity is going to be mediated through digital payments. It's also going to have an important effect on international payments, because now all of the inefficiencies in international payments, the high cost, the long time it takes to complete transactions, the inefficiency of those transactions, all of those are going to be reduced. So international payments will become much cheaper, much more efficient and quicker. That has a lot of benefits in terms of facilitating more easy capital inflows and capital outflows. But it also poses some risks for emerging market economies, because it's going to mean a lot more volatility of those flows and also volatility of exchange rates. Now, there might also be some bigger implications if we think about what happens to different currencies. Now, thanks to these new technologies, we might be able to move to a world where the Chinese renminbi, the Indian rupee, and many other emerging market currencies can more easily be directly traded for each other without having to go through a vehicle currency like the dollar or the euro. So the dollar's role could be affected somewhat. The emerging market currencies could become somewhat more important. But I think ultimately the dollar is still going to remain dominant. But certainly there will be room, thanks to the new technologies, for other currencies to also start playing a bigger role in the international monetary system.
I know many years ago you also wrote a book about Chinese yuan. What is your outlook of Chinese yuan's future as China continue to open up its economy and financial sector to the world, and its implication for the global financial industry?
The Chinese renminbi has come a long way since the project of renminbi internationalization started in 2010. The Chinese currency has become a more important international payment currency. It's also become an official reserve currency. Now, the fact that the renminbi is there is certainly helpful in terms of providing an alternative to many countries that don't want to rely so much on the dollar or the euro. And if China plays its cards right, if it undertakes a lot of reforms, including the ones that I mentioned, but also reforms to increase financial market depth and liquidity, then I think the renminbi can start playing an important role as a competitor, at least to the other reserve currencies. I don't think it'll seriously challenge the dollar, but it can still play a very important role in the international monetary system.
Many experts have warned of a more fractured world. A lot of transnational issues require global collaboration, such as the pandemic, the climate change. In your opinion, how can we further promote global cooperation?
The interests of different countries are clearly aligned, although each country has a different idea about how to promote the common objective. But that's a good place to start if everybody agrees that there needs to be progress in these areas. To my mind, one of the key issues is really separating these different issues. Sometimes the geopolitical tensions make it difficult to make progress in areas where there is a commonality of interest. So if we can start separating these a little bit, focus on the issues where different countries have the same objective, although again they may differ on the pace and the method in which to get there, then we can start making progress. The other issue is to use global multilateral institutions, like the IMF, the World Bank, and so on, where countries like China and the US both play important roles, and use those as avenues to increase cooperation between countries. China and the US, these two countries are really critical for thinking about the entire world addressing issues like climate change. If China and the US cannot work together, it's going to be very difficult to bring other countries in and increase a cooperative environment.